Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are going to embark on a journey, not just across the seas but across history, across the struggles of nations, across the memories of sailors who gave their years and sometimes even their lives to keep a ship alive. This is not going to be just another video about numbers and steel. This is about something far greater, something emotional, something that connects a machine to the heart of a people. We are going to talk about the incredible and almost legendary journey of the BRP Laguna, with hull number LS-501, a landing ship of the Philippine Navy. Now, before we dive deep, let me tell you why this story matters. Ships like the BRP Laguna are not the flashy ones that make it to the headlines. They don't fire missiles across oceans, they don't fly jets from massive decks, and they don't carry the glamour of modern destroyers. But they carry something far more important. They carry soldiers. They carry supplies. They carry food, medicine, tanks, and vehicles. They carry hope. And sometimes, in the middle of chaos, that hope is more powerful than any weapon. The ship that we now know as BRP Laguna did not begin her life in the Philippines. She was born far away, in the United States, during the firestorm of the Second World War. Imagine the world in 1943. Europe was in flames, Asia was locked in battles, and the Pacific was a vast chessboard of naval warfare. At Seneca, Illinois, inside the Chicago Bridge and Iron Company, a ship was being built. She was designated USS LST-230. LST stood for Landing Ship Tank, and that title meant everything. These ships were the unsung giants of the war. Their job was simple but absolutely vital. Take heavy vehicles, tanks, troops, and equipment directly to enemy shores, unload them on beaches, and make invasions possible. Without them, the Allies could not have liberated Europe or fought across the Pacific. The USS LST-230 was part of history's most daring operations. On the beaches of Normandy during D-Day, where the world held its breath as the Allies stormed Europe, ships like her carried the lifeblood of the invasion. Picture the chaos. Waves crashing, smoke covering the sky, artillery fire raining down, soldiers waiting with pounding hearts inside the belly of the ship. Then the doors open, ramps lower, and out rushes the force that would change history. This ship, though silent, though faceless, played her part in that victory. Later, she would also serve during the invasion of southern France, another chapter where courage and steel were tested. Years passed. The war ended, empires shifted, nations were rebuilt. The United States had more ships than it could keep, and many veterans of the war were retired, stored, or transferred. And this is where fate intervened. In 1976, decades after her birth, the ship was transferred to the Philippines. She crossed the seas not as USS LST-230 anymore, but reborn with a new name and a new identity, BRP Laguna, hull number LT-501. For the Philippines, this was more than just receiving old hardware. This was receiving a piece of living history, a ship that had already proven itself in the crucible of war. It became a symbol of continuity, a bridge between generations of sailors, a vessel that could carry the weight of a young nation's hopes. She was named Laguna after the proud Philippine province, known for its culture, people, and contributions to the nation. That name meant the ship did not just belong to the Navy. It belonged to the people, to every citizen who looked at the sea and saw protection, supply, and support coming from ships like her. Over time, her designation changed from LT-501, meaning landing tank, to LS-501, meaning landing ship. A small change on paper, but for those who served on her, she remained the same, a sturdy companion, always ready to carry troops and supplies across the countless islands of the archipelago. Let us pause here and reflect. Think of what it means for a country of more than 7,000 islands to own a ship like Laguna. It means access. It means connection. It means that even in the most remote corners, in times of crisis, during storms, or even during conflict, the Navy has the power to bring help. That is not just logistics. That is humanity. When soldiers are moved to defend a distant island, when relief goods are carried after a typhoon, when communities see the silhouette of a gray landing ship approaching, they are not just seeing steel. They are seeing lifelines. And the sailors who operate such ships, they are not just crew. They are guardians of that lifeline. For decades, BRP Laguna carried out missions that rarely made it to the news. She transported troops for exercises, brought supplies to remote areas, took part in humanitarian operations, and stood as a dependable part of the fleet. She may not have been armed with the most advanced missiles, but she had something greater: reliability. Time after time, when called upon, she was there. And for a navy that must stretch across scattered islands, that reliability is priceless. Let us also think about the sailors who served on her. Imagine being a young recruit, stepping on board a ship that had already survived World War II, a ship older than your own parents, maybe even older than your grandparents. There is awe in that. There is respect. The walls, the decks, the engine rooms, they carry stories. Stories of men who once sailed through gunfire, stories of long voyages across vast oceans, stories of survival. Serving on BRP Laguna is like touching history, like being part of a living museum, except this museum still sails, still works, still protects. Now here is something emotional. Every ship has a soul. Sailors will tell you that. Ships breathe with their engines, they groan with the waves, they carry moods in the silence of nights at sea. BRP Laguna, for all her age, carried a steady, loyal soul. To the Philippine Navy, she was not just a vessel on the roster. She was family, and family, no matter how old, is never forgotten. In recent years, modernization has been the cry of many navies. The Philippines too is building a stronger fleet, with new frigates, new landing docks, and more advanced technology. And yes, ships like BRP Laguna are old. They cannot serve forever. One day, she will have to be retired, honored, and allowed to rest. But that does not erase her story. If anything, it makes her legacy stronger. Because long before the shiny modern ships arrived, it was vessels like Laguna that held the line, that kept the seas alive, that gave the Navy its backbone. As we tell this story, remember that the ship is just one part of it. The true heroes are the people who kept her alive. The engineers who worked night after night fixing old parts, the officers who planned missions with limited resources, the crew who sailed through storms with faith in their vessel, the communities who welcomed her when she brought supplies, the families who waited at the shore for their sailors to return. All of them are part of the BRP Laguna's legacy. So, next time you see a picture of an old landing ship, gray and weathered, do not dismiss it as outdated. Look closer. See the history written on her hull. Feel the courage embedded in her decks. Hear the echoes of sailors calling orders, of engines roaring, of waves crashing against her sides. These ships are monuments, floating reminders that nations are not built only on grand victories but on quiet service, on steady dedication, on the everyday work that holds a people together. And that is why the story of BRP Laguna is not just about a ship. It is about resilience. It is about continuity. It is about how something born in the fire of World War II found a new life in the warm waters of the Philippines, and how, decade after decade, she carried not just cargo but the pride of a nation. Thank you for staying with me on this journey. If you felt the emotion, the weight of history, the pride in service, then you understand why ships like BRP Laguna deserve to be remembered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can hear these stories, stories that remind us of sacrifice, service, and the unbreakable bond between a nation and its navy. This is not the end of the story. As long as we remember, ships like BRP Laguna will never be forgotten.